And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren back with you again here at Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles. We're glad to have you with us here on this beautiful day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's a beautiful day. We've got the mini round baler out and we've cleaned it up for the year. It seems like that our baling for this year is probably over. We've had it out today and about all morning. I've been cleaning it and blowing it off with a leaf blower and getting up under it and cleaning the bale chamber out really good and cleaning the twine wrap chamber really good and greased all the couple of grease points that it has and oiled the chain drive system and all that type stuff. So just routine maintenance that you really need to do to your equipment. You invest a lot of money in this equipment and protect your investment. Each time you're done with it, do some cleaning, but especially at your end of the year, go through it real thorough and clean it real good before you store it for the winter. And that's what I just got done doing today. I've had a little steel leaf blower out and done a lot of blowing, and then with a small brush and cleaning, and got the bale chamber open and cleaned all that, greased and oiled and all that good stuff. But some of y'all noticed, I guess, when we baled our test plot hay with our mini round baler, that it didn't go unnoticed by some folks that we were using our mini round baler with a drawbar kit, and it not necessarily a kit, but with a drawbar that we've designed. And if you go back and watch our video on the initial review that we done with the Farm Maxx mini round baler that's built by Redlands, one of the things that I touched on in that video was the fact that I thought this was a very fantastic baler, but one of the problems I had with it was the 3-point attachment, which in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. However, when you get to the end of your windrows and you're baling hay, in order to turn around and start down another windrow, you have to use your tractor 3-point to pick this baler up to be able to turn. And that was an issue for me. Not a huge issue, but it really nagged at me. The wheels and the axle, it doesn't really have a full-length axle under it. What it has is a pretty heavy-duty bracket that's welded under the baler with the appropriate sized hole. And a little short axle, maybe about 12 inches, slides in there, and a bolt goes through it to hold the axle in place, and then the tires sit there. So that makes the tires stationary. They do not swivel or nothing like that. Okay, when you hook that to the 3-point on your tractor, and it's hooked in 3 places, you know, your top link and your 2 side links, and the wheels do not turn, that equals that when you go to stop and you start to make a turn on your tractor, this thing will not turn. What happens if you try to turn it, it just starts scooting. The wheels try to start scooting across the ground. And bear in mind, this little baler weighs about 1,000 to 1,100 pounds. So it does not scoot real easy, especially if you're using a subcompact tractor, and ours is a compact tractor, 32 horsepower. But when we use this baler hooked to the 3-point system, and a couple of times I tried to turn it without lifting it, and I could feel it really putting my tractor in a bind, which is not healthy for your tractor. So you have to utilize your 3-point to pick it up to turn around. Then you have to turn and back up, whatever you have to do to get squared up to go down to your next windrow. All has to be done with this baler picked up off the ground, the tires off the ground. Okay, that in of itself, you may think is not that big of an issue. And if you're on really flat land, it may not be an issue for you. But if you bale hay in small pastures, small paddocks, places where your windrows are not super long, like 500 yards long, and small paddocks and small scale haying is what this baler is designed for, in my opinion. That's where it shines. This baler really lights up in those situations. And in those situations when you're in small hay fields and small paddocks, usually your windrows are not that long. These smaller paddocks, that's why they're small paddocks, I guess you could say. Which in turn means you're going to be turning this baler around a lot. And picking this baler up every time you need to make a turn, to me, was an issue that I just did not like. The baler itself is built really well. I'm very happy with the build of this baler. In the original video, I alluded to a few things that could be done to make this baler excellent. Excuse me. To put it over the top. And I alluded to the fact of maybe putting some swivel wheels on it, and I still think that's probably a pretty good idea. But here in the mountains, our paddocks and our small hay pastures are, hardly any of them are level. We're on gently sloped ground. And here on our farm, we have very little ground that is used for hay production that is just completely level. We have some places of it, but most of it's gently sloped to very steep, and we do not bale on those steep slopes or even raise hay on them. We use the steeper parts for animals to be out on pasture on, to graze it and browse it down. However, if you're on land that has slopes, and this happened to me, I'll just go ahead and relate a story. I was using this baler attached to the 3-point, and I was on a slope, and I came to the end of my windrow, and I needed to pick this baler up to turn up the slope and get backed up a little bit to go down the next windrow. And when I picked this baler up, now it was fine as long as this baler was sitting on the ground. I have no problems about going through there on the tractor, or even when this is on the ground. But I needed to get turned, and I was in a situation where I couldn't really go no further without getting turned. And I pulled my lever on my 3-point to pick the baler up off the ground so I could get turned. And as soon as those tires got off the ground and this baler was off the ground and all the weight on my 3-point, it was one of those oh crap moments. I could really feel my tractor get really unstable, and I almost feel the left front tire was almost, I think, about ready to come off the ground, and I could feel it really wanting to pitch me to one side. It was one of those oh no moments. So quickly, I mean, just as fast as I could, my hand went and pushed the lever down to drop the 3-point to set this baler back down. And as soon as the tires hit the ground, of course, the tractor kind of leveled back out as far as the ground goes, and I felt safe again. So I had to really slowly back out of that situation and get back to where I could get out of that turn and get to where I could lift this baler back up to get turned safely. Okay, that was really the only incident I've had, but that has lingered in my mind. And I sat and thought of ways with a pencil and a piece of paper to fabricate swivel wheels for this baler. I thought swivel wheels would be great. When it took to your 3-point, you can just turn, kind of like what's on a 0-turn mower. The wheels would just turn and the baler would just turn whichever way you needed to go. And I still think that's a viable option. However, one other thing kind of nagged me a little bit about the swivel wheel fabrication project. And I know that when I was baling hay with this baler, a whole lot of times I'd be sitting in the tractor seat, and where it's attached to the 3-point, it's really close to your tractor and very little room in there. I mean, the PTO shaft that I'm using when I hook it to the 3-point's only about that long. It's really close. And when I was baling hay, you know, you're constantly looking behind you with a hand on the steering wheel, and you're looking back like this at the baler a lot to see how your tines are picking up, to occasionally glance at your bale density rod. You're looking back a lot, but one of the things that I was looking back at a lot was to see how my tines were picking up the hay and to make sure I was within my windrow really good. The baler being so close to the tractor, it was like I would take my hind end off the seat and lean way back to be able to see down in here. And that kind of was in the back of my mind, and I was thinking the whole time, if we design and fabricate some swivel wheels for the baler to be able to turn, that still doesn't alleviate the problem of the distance between here and there. I wanted some distance where I could actually sit comfortably in my tractor seat and look around and see the tine pick up, how the tines were picking up the hay. I could see all the mechanics going on here and the motions. I could visually see that everything was working like it's supposed to. With it up on my 3-point, I could see that, but it was a strain. I mean, after the end of the day, I almost had a crick in my neck from looking way up and way down in there, trying to lean back against my seat to be able to see in here. So that put me back to the drawboard. I still think the swivel wheels could be a viable option, but I thought there's got to be something better. I'd like to be able to turn plus be able to see. So I started designing a drawbar system for it. And I have a good friend who is a professional welder and a very, very experienced, fantastic, top shelf welder. And I collaborated with him, and I kind of designed a drawbar kit with his assistance, and we built a drawbar for this baler. It attaches to your 3-point via a crossbar. It comes over into the holes. You can pick these crossbars up at basically any tractor supply store sized for your 3-point. It attaches here and comes back and attaches to the point right here where your top link would normally attach to the baler. Of course, then once we got the drawbar system built and we're happy with the one we built, then of course we've done measurement and had to go and purchase a longer PTO shaft. The drawbar build was not as simple as I thought it would be. This baler's designed to have 3-point to keep it level and all that, and it took some engineering and designing and fabricating to come up with the right system. The very first system we built with the plates here where it connects to where the 3-point top link normally would, the first plates we built for this was a bust. It's not as simple as just running a bar back there and drilling a hole through a plate and putting a pin in it. and go baling. We found that out real quick, that the baler just wanted to pitch forward and it just did not work. So we scrapped that, went with another one, and we got closer. And then the final one that we designed and was my friend welded and fabricated for me, do it with our collaborative design here. This one knocked it out of the park. This one was a home run. After we built it, before I ever even put a PTO shaft on it, we got it out in the hay fields and the pasture and just drove it around, cut corners, turned circles, everything we needed to do. We done some measuring for the PTO shaft, from the drawbar to it. We done measuring for the tines to the ground at varying stages of the limiter for your tines. And we finally came up with a drawbar here that worked excellent. And if you watch the video on us baling our test plot hay, you'll see that it works, and it works really well. Very happy with it. So let me get the camera and bring you in here closer and just give you a quick look at this drawbar system that we came up with. I'm really happy with two things with it, and it's the two things that I alluded to earlier. The fact that I can be at the end of my windrow and I can turn my tractor and just keep right on going. I feel no torque on my tractor. I feel no weight pulling the back, and let me say this, even with the tractor, when I said earlier, when I had it up to the 3-point and I felt uneasy, I have ballast in my tires, so that really helps. And if you're baling hay and anything like that and you don't have ballast in your tires, especially if you're on a little bit of a slope, I would highly suggest to put ballast in your tires. And we also have our wheels and tires outset as far as they'll go, which is fantastic. When I bought this tractor, they were inset, a lot narrower, and we switched those out to the outset, and it was unreal how much better the stability of this tractor was on a slope once we outset these wheels and tires. It helped tremendously, and then the ballast in the tires helped really much. But back to the baler, when we were baling, we could turn turns, we could come up hills, we could make sharp turns and turn around, come back, and I felt no torque on my tractor whatsoever. It was just like almost you'd think the baler wasn't even hooked to you. It is fantastic. And the second thing that I like almost as much as the turning is the distance here. Being able to sit in my tractor seat and look right behind me and have this distance that I can see everything that's going on, and my field of vision here is not hindered, is absolutely 2 thumbs up. So let me bring in and let you take just a little closer look at the drawbar. We're really happy with it. Of course, we're going to put it through the paces next year, baling a whole lot more than we have just in our little test plot this year. We've only baled 6 bales of hay with it this year, but next year we'll be baling in the hundreds, and we'll really put it through the test. But the welds and everything on this drawbar is fantastic, and the option, I'm sure somebody's probably going to ask, are y'all going to maybe offer one of these for sale? How can I get one? We haven't crossed that bridge yet. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that we could build a couple for sale, but we haven't crossed that bridge yet, and we're going to wait and cross that when the time comes. But let me grab the camera and bring in here and let you take a little closer look at this drawbar system. Okay, folks, we're back here with the 3-point business end of the tractor, and as you can see how the drawbar setup hooks to your 3-point. Okay, here we have a a crossbar on our lower links of our 3-point, and you can pick up these these crossbars at almost any farm supply store, such as any farm supply store, and we'll leave it there. They're about 1 inch thick. They're 3/4, something like that, and they have, this particular one has 3/4 inch holes all across it. Okay, we installed this one, and you have to have one appropriate to the size of your tractor, your 3-point system. And we install this with hitch pins on the end, and we have chains. Okay, if you can see, chains here that run through the drawbar, and they run up to holes there where our top link fits in on each side. Okay, you can see them there. Okay, and the chain on the other side just comes right down right into the crossbar as well. What the chains do is limit how low your crossbar could drop in your 3-point. Some tractors may have a leak down, what I'd call it, in your hydraulic system, where if you raise something over time, it slowly 1/16 by 1/16 of an inch starts kind of coming down over, you know, a couple hours, and the chains limit how far it can drop. And why that's important is your PTO shaft is right under it. Okay, as you can see, we have plenty of distance here between our PTO shaft and the drawbar. Okay, but if you're, and this tractor does not have leak down, so we don't have a problem with that. But just in case, and if your tractor did, and it started leaking down during the day we was baling, the next thing you know, it gets low enough to where it starts hitting your PTO shaft, you're in for a bad day. So we keep the chains there. They'll limit how low your bottom links could drop to protect your PTO shaft. So that's the reason for the chains. Okay, the drawbar assembly hooks here with some really thick steel that's been welded, and you will probably never see welds better than this. You might see some just as good, but these welds on this drawbar are out of this world. They're good. But this is really thick steel plates, and we have the distance here that was calculated to the turning radius, and this is where your baler's, the swivel point is, right here. This is where when you turn, this is what turns right here, and it's secured with a 3/4 hitch pin, and it just comes right back and it hooks into where the top link is. Okay, with the top one here is the 3/4 inch hitch pin that came with the baler, where normally your top link would hook to, and the bottom hole is a 1 inch that's factory, that came factory, and we had to go and get another 1 inch hitch pin to fit through the plates that were fabricated and welded. And this thing's not just welded right in here, it's welded all the way around, all under, all over, everywhere that a weld or a joint could possibly even be. And the drawbar goes back in there a pretty long way to have plenty of steel to weld to make this thing as strong as possible. Okay, then there's a plate welded on the top to limit how far the baler can pitch forward. It's a limiter along with both of your hitch pins here. And if you want it to go just a little bit lower, you could pull this 1 inch out and put a 3/4 in, and it will allow this plate to drop maybe another 1/8. to get your tine pickup lower to the ground. However, with the chain limiter here for your tine pickup, all we needed to do is just adjust that to the ground, and we've had no issues. It picks up hay right where we need it to. So we also had to modify the kickstand, because once we hook a drawbar system to it, then there's no way to pick it up off the ground to remove your kickstand when you're ready to park it, or when you're going to hook it up. So we had to modify that. We no longer use this bracket here. We turned our 3-point category 1 attachment here around, and we modified the kickstand to where it will fit right here, and still use this bolt hole for the kickstand. So it's all working perfectly. We did have to go and buy a longer PTO shaft, and the distance between the tractor 3-point, now I'm not talking about the tractor, but this drawbar or this crossbar right here, from there back to this point is about 3 foot and 8 inches, 9 inches, something like that. So it's not quite 4 foot, it's a little over 3.5 foot. And the other drawbars that we built and tested, those, they were a little bit longer, and anytime you stretch something out, the further you go, the weaker it's going to get. So we found this was a perfect length to be able to find the availability of PTO shafts to accommodate it, plus being able to sit in your tractor seat and look back and have unobstructed view of what your baler's doing. We found that to be a excellent length, just excellent. So some ways it looks like it, if you stand back at a distance and look at it, it looks further than, 3 foot 9 inches, but that's what it is. It's 3 foot 9 inches from hitch pin on the baler to hitch pin on the crossbar. So, and of course the crossbar sticks out. Your links stick out a little bit back from your tractor behind the tires. So, whatever that distance is, then your drawbar distance. So we've got some videos up of us baling our test hay with the drawbar system. So feel free to check that out. It worked phenomenal, and we're really happy with the drawbar system. The drawbar system here, in my opinion, put this baler over the top. It's fantastic. One other thing that I'm gonna maybe see about doing is something with the twine. The arm that comes up and holds the bale of your twine, it's not a frequently occurring thing, but I have had some issues when the twine starts coming off of this arm right here. I have had a few issues with it swinging out, and actually had one instance where it caught on the arm as the arm was coming back up, and the twine was slinging off of the roll, and it actually went over the arm and wrapped up and got in a bind, and I had to stop the baling, stop the twine wrapping process, and get off and untangle that mess. So that's something we may look at too. There's a couple options in my mind about how to remedy that, but it's minor. It's minor. But the ability to take this baler now and hook it to your tractor and just be able to turn, make circles, that when you get to the end of a windrow, just turn around and just keep going and not have to stop and pick this thing up. And if you're doing a lot of baling, the wear and tear of picking this thing up in small paddocks just over and over and over time, that's got to wear on something, and it's probably going to be your tractor. So This has solved that issue, I believe. And I like the distance between the tractor and the baler now that I have a visual of what's going on mechanically and what's happening while the baler's running down along the tine pickup and all that. So we're really happy with it, and we look forward to baling a bunch of hay with this thing next year. Thank you folks for being with us today here at Cross Timbers Farm. We really enjoy you stopping by and being with us today. It's a beautiful day, and we're going to get back at some farm chores. But thanks for being with us and stopping by and watching the video today. We really appreciate it. The subscribers that we've been gaining regularly each day, and the nice comments, and it seems like we are having folks to watch our videos and subscribe to our videos that are really kind people that leave really nice comments, and we really appreciate that. It encourages us to get out and make more videos, and we appreciate you taking a little time out of your day to watch the videos and come here to Cross Timbers Farm and 8th Day Chronicles via YouTube with us. And we appreciate it very much to our subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. So God bless, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll be back with you on the next one.